And we're back in the room. A deep dive, review, and analysis into Vanguard. This is my credentials. Well, I'm the Lord of Dust, brah. I don't need, no, I'm joking. This is what I used to do. We're going to look at Vanguard in terms of four things: features, fit to the application, development, and look and feel. And we'll use a framework to do this. This is literally what I used to do as a job. And I think a lot of what I want to try and do with this is to maybe give you a more of an analysis of what I think. So we're going to break this down into FPS, MMO, looting, the PvP, PvE industry. And we're going to then break this further down into this framework. Please feel free to pause this, because these are the criterion that we will be using to give some form of analysis to this game. Why do this? I like to kind of look at things in a very analytical way. You can be very emotive with some things, and I really do think that actually this game's quite good, and I'm quite excited about it, and I want to kind of use this framework to maybe get a conversation going with people putting comments and saying if they disagree or agree with what I'm saying here. We'll obviously put this into a 2x2 because absolutely everything in business is broken down into a 2x2, because most CEOs and CFOs and COOs are tits. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They've got the job because they play squash with Gerald, the major shareholder. So let's talk about the FPS game. I really do think this is where it's looking very good. In terms of the way we've done this, it's levels of funosity. So is it high fun, low fun? It's a word, look it up. And I've then put upon the x-axis, if I feel that it needs work, does it need more development, does it feel done? I put mostly done because obviously this is still a huge amount of work in progress. And this is where this is good news, because for me, the gun game, it is fun. I really enjoy it. And I would say it feels pretty much done. It doesn't feel like, I mean, there's a bit to do. There's a bit of polish. And I'm not talking about the types of guns. I'm talking about the gun game itself. You see somebody, you fight. I think the gun game is very good. The time to kill feels right to me, but post in the comments if you disagree. I've seen a lot of people in the Vanguard Discord say they feel the TTK is quite high. I don't feel it is. I feel that if you're ambushed, you're dead. And this is why I like games like that, because to me, I think this is trying to be, look at me camping in the background. Oh my God, I'm such a douchebag. It's because I heard a group of people moving around and I'm sure they were players, but anyway. For me, I feel the TTK is about right. It feels as if you get ambushed, you're dead. 3 versus 1 always will beat you, always, no matter if you're literally the greatest player in the world ever, which of course I am. And I feel the TTK is quite good, but post in the comments if you disagree. The movement feels quite good as well. I still think there's a bit of work to be done, because I still feel there's probably map development and so on, but it feels fun. I liked running around. I felt quick. I felt as if we were moving. It didn't feel problematic like Stalker, Fallout, any sort of Bethesda game. You always feel like your legs are in treacle a little bit when you start kind of moving. Never really like that. If you strafe, you feel like you're strafing in this. It does feel very good. It reminds me actually of the original Dust sort of game, that you feel as if you're quite agile. I always felt that. I always felt you're quick, you're agile, you're moving. So this is good news. So from a kind of core point of the game, it's a first-person shooter, and the kind of 3 key variables in my mind, this feels good. So I think this is a big tick for step 1. Let's look at the next framework item, which is the MMO part of it. Here, I think there's some work to do. I don't understand the MMO aspect of it greatly. So post in the comments if I talk jibber jabber wish wash here. But in terms of progression and growth, I don't really feel the point. I don't feel like we're using, in Eve you have the skill system. I don't feel there's a lot of progression. It does feel fun though when you think about the fact that you're looting, you're getting things, but we'll deal with looting in the next one. So from just an MMO point of view, is there much character development? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to unlock skills. You're not going to kind of build and grow a character over time. I could be wrong, but it does feel as if very much the first character you get out of the box is going to be the same as the character you get way down the line. The impact on the greater world as well, which is really one of the key things people are looking for. This to me is a bit of a miss. Obviously because it's not finished. I mean, there's no criticism here. This is because the game isn't finished yet. It's still hugely in development. But when we talk about impact on the wider world, we're talking about how does this game impact Eve? And if you look at the whole point of doing games and the way you sell them, you're marketing something that's different. Now, you either compete, and there's getting in business 101 now, you either compete through being the largest, the scale, you're cheapest, your scale, or you compete, as CCP do, through differentiation. If you're different, you have something compelling to offer. And I think this is where CCP's real niche is. They are good at this because Eve is like nothing else out there. And this is what I think, personally, they should carry into Eve Vanguard, is not make it like anything else out there. Let it lend to things, Tarkov, Division, have the best of those things, but still make the game different. And this is where industry, this is where the connection to the Eve Online universe, this is its differentiation. And I've talked many times about selling the sizzle of something. If you went to a group of investors and said, give us some money to make a game, all of the gun bit, they're not bothered about. They will say, what's different about you? What will make you compelling enough to be successful to the market? And this is where, honestly, things like the impact in the wider Eve world is critical, because that is what people are going to judge it on. I mean, I remember Dust. I spoke to a lot of gaming websites for some reason because they saw I did loads of videos for Dust. And they wanted my opinion of it. And my opinion was always that, and the bit they focused on was, well, isn't that great that it's connected to Eve? And I was like, yep, it's brilliant. There's a really interesting interview somewhere with MMO World, I think it was, Scott Manley and me. I know I was very privileged to be in his company. We talked about this and we gave the view that that was a key link. But there we go. So step 3, looting. This is one of the key things, again, that you want the game to really be quite kind of good at. And I don't know if they're there yet. There doesn't feel a huge range of gear at the moment. There's only one gun, there's only one suit. That could be a problem, but we'll come back to that one. The RNG, I don't know if it's actually good or not, but so far, with all of the looting I've done, it's felt okay, but it doesn't feel very fun. It's not fun, but it's kind of like there's still an enjoyment when you kind of get things. But think about it in Division, when you would run around the corner and you'd see the gold weapon or even the green weapons, that moment of I'm trouser happy was always something that I think was great. And I think they're missing that here. There's nothing to say, oh, you found something amazing, a golden halo sprouts from the sky. And I think that's probably something to think about, is that there's not that, oh my God, I just looted this moment, which maybe they're working on, but I just think at the moment, looting just feels like part of the course of it. You go through these shitholes and you kind of break into things. There should be something that goes, ding, you just looted something special. Because then you're like, oh, I've got something special on me. I've now got to get away and get this banked and get out of here. I mean, that's exciting. And I think the whole perception of the game throughout, every round I've played, has been the impending doom of somebody finding me. And I think I love that. I love the fact that I'm a little bit frightened playing this game. And I'm a man, I'm 6'4", I'm able to admit that I'm a little bit scared when I sort of deploy. You get that little tingle in butterflies to think, well, I'm coming with some good chipsets here, and there's a risk I lose it all. That's one. But the other thing is, as you start to kind of acquire credits and things, you think, oh man, I need to get to a bank. I need to kind of get out of here. Brilliant. Really good. So when we talk about fun, it is a fun system. There is definitely, the whole point of a looter shooter is you're deploying in to loot to then get out. So again, very dark zone sort of Division. Do I think they've got that right? Yes. I think they're pretty much there. It still feels like there needs that little bit of speciality. You should really be signposted to say, you've just picked up something really cool, you need to get this out. And I think that's lacking at the moment, but that could be just due to the way that they've done the icons, the inventory. It doesn't feel quite done yet, and I hope that's the case, because I don't like the icons. Moving on, the important one, PvP. To me, I feel here this is good. Now, this is very much dependent on where you are in the world, because when we talk about latency and PvP, time to kill and all of that, I think we're talking about how well does this run for you. Now, for me, I'm in London, basically just north of London, and for me, the latency was fine. I never was jibbing around the map, which is something you get sometimes in shooters. And in terms of the PvP TTK, let me just break that down. The player versus player time to kill. So you see a dude, you fight them. How long does it take to kill them? Well, you can gank people. That's an important statement here. Because if you play smart, and you should be playing smart, if you're running around like a tit in a trance, you're going to be killed. And I've found that pretty much every PvP kill I've got so far is because they're running around, not listening, because again, the sound system here is fantastic. You can hear people coming. So if you play with headphones and you properly listen, you can ambush them. Now, yes, that means you're sort of camping a little bit, but sometimes that's how it works. This is not Dust, where you just run around and run into a doorway and shoot people with your bloody chain gun. The design of this, I feel, is very much about using your environment, listening for people running around like idiots. I mean, just firing your gun in this game is a death sentence. Do you get that? I hope you understand that, because that is probably one of the best things about it, is if you use your gun, people will hear where you are and they'll come for you. Because that's what I did. I would literally be just playing the game and I'd hear a load of gunfire and I'm thinking, well, that could be NPCs, but 9 times out of 10 it's not. It's some dude literally running around like an idiot, not thinking, and then I'd just basically get them and kill them. And I found that actually my kind of perception of PvP at the moment is, if you play smart, you're probably going to get more kills. It's not Call of Duty. It's designed to be something that you take your time with. And I think I love that. I think that's my most favourite thing about it. It rewards careful players. Fit versus skill, we'll come back to that, because I think when it comes to the industry at the end, we'll talk about that. I'm not mad about that. PvE, so let's talk about the whole concept of what I kind of think is the point of the game. Is you're not just PvPing, you're going to be doing PvE as a primary topic. You're going to be doing these things. This is a game that you deploy to play, to do things. It's not just a round-based shooter, which, again, that's quite a brave move. I think it's the right way to go. It feels more like Tarkov. But here, look, for example, I didn't engage with them, but there's a mining operation now or something like that. I could have gone and messed with them and made ISK doing that. I kind of like that. I think this is really good. Call out to whoever did the maps, because there's, 4 maps? They are incredible. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. I have played a lot of first-person shooters in my very long, distinguished life. And I've got to admit, it's probably some of the best maps I've ever seen. The textures are good. It looks great. I have a pretty good PC. I'm not going to sort of hide that fact. And this runs pretty much spot on. This is full res everything. And this is running, 4K and a bit, because I've got an ultra wide monitor. It's just brilliant. Like, I genuinely love the way this game looks. There have been times I just stop and look. How many games do you do that in, where you literally are like, oh wow, that looks really cool. Oh god, look at that view, look at that vista. You're in the middle of a space battle with future soldiers, and you're there with your camera out taking pictures like that. So maps absolutely nailed it, in my view. That is probably the great, and I think if they're going to market it with the maps being primary. There's verticality, there's interesting kind of lore. The fact this is a skyhook that's literally unwound onto the planet. I like the maps, the planetary style. So here we have sort of like, some form of fauna, or flora rather. And if you add fauna to that, that'd be even better as well. But I just think as it stands, it looks good. The PvE risk versus reward, still working on that, but so far it looks good. The fact that you deploy with contracts, mining contracts, you have missions, objectives, I love all that. I think that's very good. And I think the jobs to do, it means there's stuff to do. So from a PvE point of view, you can tell they've really thought about that. And I think actually it's very good. I can't fault them for that. There always feels like there's stuff to be doing in the game, which, full credit to them. The final topic and the last area that we'll look at in this video is the framework of industry. Now here I feel that maybe I'm not getting it. So post in the comments if I'm just missing the point here. I don't see the point of it. I know why you need it, because if you're doing an EVE game, you're not going to have first-person shooter addicts playing the game all the time. You have to give it to somebody to do something more than just shooty, kill, death. And so industry makes sense. I get that. I don't think at the moment it feels very intuitive. There's blueprints, there's a black market. They're not really explaining that very well. You're only really buying blueprints for things to make, put on your gun, put in your backpack, or put on your mining laser. If I was thinking from an EVE point of view, there should be things here that you make and then sell to the EVE market. again, that could be that interaction. Maybe that's where it's going. So the system, again, that it could be fun. I sort of found it a little bit fun, mining, getting things, and then making things from them. Again, quite cool. The fit to the game, I'm not quite sure yet. It doesn't feel quite right. Now, post in the comments your views here, because I really struggled with Industry to, you loot all these things, you don't really understand them. They do feel like a bit of a kind of more amorphous list of things. All the parts, I don't really understand them. And maybe what we need is more of a spider diagram explaining this is for that, that is for this. I mean, it's there, I know it is there, but it just feels as if it doesn't feel completely done yet. So there we go. That is kind of, in a very quick way, the initial framework of really what the game feels like at the moment. So let's break this down then into kind of some summary. So if you're going to, this is a report, let's give you a summary. So here are my kind of goods and bads. The gun game feels great. It is edge of the seat gaming. I cannot stress that enough. Like when I deploy, my heart races a little bit when I start to meet players, and they're players because they act differently. The maps are just incredible. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed going around looking at them. I've really look at that. It just looks fantastic. The single suit, the single gun, it doesn't feel quite right, and maybe Industry feels empty. These are the two negatives I'd have. But here's my takeaway. I was exceptionally entertained. Hours of gaming felt like minutes of time. That is an incredibly good sign. Is it Dust Mark II? Yeah, it is. It's just a little bit different. And I think it's bigger and more than what Dust is. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.